Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in the show today, city volunteers in the Philippines are helping fire victims in Quezon City with relief items and consolation cash. Continuing on our series of reports on BRT systems worldwide, we look at how the unique transportation is helping commuters in China. And in Taiwan, we meet a passionate zookeeper, 62-year-old Qiu Shizhu in Kaohsiung's Sousan Zoo. In the Philippines, at 2 a.m. on September 19th, a fire ravaged Barangay Manresa in Quezon City, resulting in 2 deaths and the destruction of 300 houses, which left more than 500 families homeless. City volunteers visited the temporary shelter in the disaster area to distribute aid supplies and 10 kilos of rice to the fire victims.
The fire, which broke out in the early hours of the morning in Barangay Manresa, destroyed 300 houses. City volunteers came to learn that 2 people died in the home where the fire started. And in an attempt to escape, this lady's arm was severely burned by the fire.
My arm was caught on fire because I tried to jump out the window.
About 500 families were forced to move to a temporary shelter. This little girl's arm also suffered burns when trying to escape the fire. City volunteers decided to hold an aid distribution at a nearby park, where they handed out consolation cash to those severely injured by the fire.
I will use this money to buy medicine, and I will use the remaining money to buy materials to rebuild my home.
Everything needs to start over for these victims. Janet cried when she heard the song, "We Are One Family."
When I heard the song, "We Are One Family," it reminded me of my parents whom passed away only 1 week before this fire. Now my home is completely ruined, all my belongings are gone, and I'm left with nothing.
Although left with nothing, after receiving aid supplies and 10 kilograms of rice from the volunteers, Janet no longer feels helpless. At last, she breaks into a smile.
The 10 kilograms of rice is able to sustain us for a week, and because of the straw mats, we do not have to sleep on the ground at night. The toothbrush is also very important for us to maintain daily hygiene.
30 volunteers were mobilized this day to hand out relief items and give their blessings to the victims. Knowing that they are more fortunate than others, student volunteers also came to lend a helping hand to the needy.
When I saw the smile on the victims' faces, I felt very happy because we were able to help them.
The power of joint support and assistance will help these victims face their situation with bravery and give them hope to continue moving forward into the future.
Hurricane Isaac struck the southern part of the United States at the end of August, causing catastrophic damage in the state of Louisiana. As reconstruction work has been difficult, city volunteers from the Texas City chapter arrived to distribute cash cards and blankets to 327 affected families.
It is 3:30 in the morning and city volunteers gather at the Houston City chapter ready to depart for Plague Mines Parish. The relief site is 300 kilometers away across state lines. Houston to Plague Mines Parish in Louisiana was the stretch hardest hit by Hurricane Isaac. 1 month has passed and what we see en route is a stretch of mire with houses blocking the road, and the air remains filled with a musty odor. Because much of the terrain here sits below sea level, flooding reached 23 feet following the hurricane. The local government spent 10 days removing all the debris. As the number of challenges to the follow-up reconstruction became apparent, City Council members requested outside help, and a week later, city volunteers were on scene with blankets and cash cards.
Destroyed most homes, had 75% of destruction in some homes. So sure there was a great need for this organization support, and I'm so glad and I'm happy to have you all here with us just to show our people that people do care.
When the volunteers arrived, hundreds of local residents were already waiting in line. Just like Hurricane Katrina 7 years ago, the aid came just in time. Apart from cash cards and blankets, bamboo banks were also handed out.
You start with a little and it becomes a lot. Yes.
Well, see, that's the way my grandfather used to do it, but that was to support the family.
Yeah.
But now I realize that we can do it to help other people.
Giving us a help, just the support and all that, that is wonderful. It makes you want to go out and help other people.
With the strength of mutual support, residents believe they will be able to pull through the situation, especially as the optimism is something that the flood cannot drown.
We always plan things that the family gathers so we can keep our thoughts up and keep our mind going.
In the city of Changzhou in China's Jiangsu province, we found a perfect example of how the BRT can help improve a city's quality of life. Finished in 2008, the BRT line in Changzhou already boasts 350,000 riders a day, with 43% of these riders former car users. Thanks to the speed and conveniences of the buses, more and more residents are choosing the BRT as their first choice when having to travel in or across town.
BRT buses are a vital part of keeping Changzhou, a city of 1 million, moving.
Before, in many areas, there were not many government officials or company bosses that took the bus, but now we are finding that it is not only the poor that are taking the bus to commute, but a whole range of people.
According to the Changzhou Public Transit Group, of the current BRT passengers, 57% were former public bus riders, and 43% used private transportation, which means there are now a lot less cars on Changzhou streets.
Yes, for the most part, I take the BRT now and then transfer when needed. It is more convenient that way. For one reason, they are too slow.
We are now looking at the trunk line of the BRT, but if we want to expand the service of the BRT, only having 1 or 2 trunk lines is not enough. So how are you going to work to expand the service citywide?
We will work from our trunk line and branch lines and implement their union. Here in front of us, we can see 2 types of buses. One is 18 meters, and that is the bus that runs on the trunk line. We also have 12-meter buses, like the one that just was at the bus stop. Those are the buses that run on the branch lines. There are many areas where, due to road conditions and restrictions, our trunk line cannot go, and in those places, we have set up branch lines.
Changzhou has 2 trunk lines that crisscross the city. One is north to south, the other runs east to west. Surrounding them are branch and loop lines that feed directly into the 2 main BRT lines.
We spent about 11 months getting the BRT system up and running. It has, without doubt, already become the main backbone for public transit in Changzhou.
When we need to get somewhere, we usually take the BRT, as the BRT route will pass by all the major thoroughfares. It is very convenient.
Right now in Changzhou, the BRT buses don't make up a large percentage of total public buses in the city, probably only 10%, but maybe carrying 30% of total ridership. So this is a great example of the success of the BRT.
This is one of Changzhou's traffic hubs. Altogether, it has 1 level below ground and 2 levels above. So from where I am standing now, over here we can see the entrances to the train, city buses, and BRT. And here, behind the orange doors, will be the entrance to the subway once it is complete. And over here are taxis and car rentals. So you can see that commuters have so many choices of public transportation to choose from, and all of them are under the same roof. The 200-kilometer BRT network has given Changzhou the reputation of a city without traffic jams. However, for the source of the BRT in China, we have to go back 10 years when officials first started outlining the project with funds from the World Bank and Global Environmental Facility.
They questioned whether the BRT would actually help. Our citizens wrote to the mayor asking that since we are such a large city, why aren't we building a subway? They thought that building a subway should be the first priority.
Although the BRT scheme first met with resistance, presently there are over 15 cities across China that have implemented it, giving residents everywhere easy and fast citywide access.
In the past few days, we have been learning about BRT buses around the globe, but did you know that Taiwan has also implemented the system? In DaAi, the BRT buses were originally put in place to help passengers transfer from the high-speed rail station to the local railway station. However, over the past 4 years, DaAi has added more stops along the way to include businesses and popular tourist areas, making commuting around DaAi easier than ever.
Here in Taiwan's DaAi, people are boarding a BRT bus. As the doors to the bus no longer has steps, it has become a convenient transportation tool for the elderly.
Some buses have many steps that older people cannot easily climb. This is level with the curb, so it is easier to climb aboard.
These BRT buses have their own dedicated bus lanes, and in the waiting area, electronic boards give travelers up-to-date bus information.
This BRT bus lane has a dedicated lane on the road to the HSR station. This is Taiwan's first BRT system. When the BRT buses approach, traffic lights priority will be given to BRT buses.
Currently, this BRT system carries around 2,500 to 4,000 people a day. This means a reduction of CO2 emission equal to 625 to 4,000 vehicles.
According to our data, in 1 year, we have reduced 200,000 tons of CO2 emission. That's a great contribution to reducing pollution.
Originally, DaAi implemented the BRT buses to help transfer passengers from its high-speed rail station to the local rail station. But the bus route now stops at businesses and tourist areas, solving transportation problems for residents and at the same time providing a boost to the local economy.
Have you ever visited a museum that had no tour guides and all you're left with is a DIY headset, which you have to fumble with to punch in the right numbers? Students at Suda University have come up with an invention to solve the problem. The students use LED lights and sensors to transmit information to a headset automatically, giving us the option of browsing effortlessly at our own pace.
Arriving at the museum, if you want to know more about a painting without a decent tour, what is the other option? The lights of the painting transmit information to the museum goer wearing a headset, who then successfully receives information about what he or she is looking at. There is also another practical use for this process.
By using LED lights, we can transmit information through the light. When the light is off, the information can no longer transmit. When it's turned back on, then it will resume playing.
Wanting to reduce electromagnetic radiation, these college students came up with using light to transmit information. In home safety issues, they came up with a brilliant idea.
If the key and the lock doesn't synchronize in a few seconds, then the system will decide it's an intruder and will take a picture and send it to the owner's cell phone.
This unique electronic key lock system is hard to decode, and with the added camera, can help homeowners to identify intruders at first response. These students are using their knowledge to benefit daily lives at the same time they are winning awards.
When visiting the Souzan Zoo in Kaohsiung, one gets to enjoy seeing a variety of animals, from the gorillas, elephants to tigers. However, taking care of these animals is no easy task. Next, we meet senior zookeeper 62-year-old Qiu Shizhu, who has over 3 decades of experience in caring for these animals. Many also refer to Qiu as the super nanny of the zoo for the passion and love that he shows when taking care of these animals. The zoo is always a favorite choice of destination for children's field trips. However, one may wonder if it is as easy to care for these seemingly friendly animals. Sitting right by the window and staring at the camera crew, the gorilla isn't happy to see strangers around. Qiu explains the things to take note when caring for these animals.
This door breaks quite often, so when we are working here, we need to make sure we lock the door properly. He's smashing against the window now. When the zoo was still located in Shizu 1, we had to take turns to feed each area, so I've basically been everywhere.
"62-year-old Qiu Shizhu, who has been a zookeeper for over 30 years, treats every animal as his own family and can even tell how they are feeling by looking at their movements.
Come here, this one was born here. I watch it grow. It can recognize me. I'm like its nanny.
The Formosa black bear Qiu is referring to was born in the zoo. Qiu has watched the bear grow from a baby to now being taller than himself. But to the passionate zookeeper, the bear is like his child.
This job does not require us to be physically strong, but it is more about having passion and love for animals. If I don't visit them for a while, they won't let me near them. And if I try going inside their shelter, the elephant will kick me out using his nose.
With a simple instruction, the elephant comes close to the fences and enjoys the treat of toast bread. Qiu Shizhu says the trick to becoming friends with these animals is to let them grow familiar to his presence.
We missed the door lock in the tiger cage once, and I had no idea it would suddenly come back in. The tiger came through the door and we were staring at each other. It was shocked and so was I. I needed to remain calm, so I slowly backed off and closed the door.
The experience of escaping a tiger is a reminder for Qiu to always double-check every lock and be more careful in every step he takes. Unafraid of the bad odor from the excrement, when Qiu Shizhu carries out his cleaning duties each day, he also takes note of the animals' behaviors and has won their trust through his attentive care and love. Nevertheless, when Qiu retires in 3 years, someone else will need to take over his job, and his tips to caring for these animals?
Every animal has a temper and an adorable side to them, so it really depends on how we treat them.
In the city of Surabaya in Indonesia, Tzu Chi volunteer Chen Suzhen has been devoting herself to every aspect of Tzu Chi's missions, from practicing recycling to taking part in home visitations and much more.
Going to the market to buy groceries, in addition to bringing a purse and reusable bags, volunteer Chen Suzhen will always bring Tzu Chi publication. To inspire others to walk the Bodhisattva path, Chen sees every opportunity to introduce Tzu Chi, from exercising to waiting to see a doctor.
Every day, I want to inspire goodness in people's hearts. When we care for others with our hearts, we will touch them.
In 2007, after watching DaAi TV, Chen Su-zhen was inspired to walk on the Tzu Chi path. Since then, she has been devoting herself to Tzu Chi.
When I practice recycling, I also encourage many to join in. Doing good deeds is not about donating money, but getting involved in every aspect of charity work. We are not doing work for Tzu Chi, but actually, Tzu Chi is pushing us to do good deeds and to cultivate blessings for ourselves.
More than 100 Tzu Chi volunteers from 14 different cities gathered together to learn how to be volunteer guides. Among the volunteers is Chen Su-zhen, who never misses a chance to introduce Tzu Chi to others.
I always pray for good health and to have the strength to keep going, because I want to encourage more people to walk on the Tzu Chi path so society will be in harmony and at peace.
From her community to the Indonesia Ding Si Hall, Chen Su-zhen is hard at work, inspiring more people to walk the Tzu Chi path.
In Hong Kong, many people celebrated the Moon Festival at a barbecue site at Wu Ka Sa of Ma On San, and the next day the place was left covered in rubbish. Tzu Chi volunteers arrived after the festival and cleaned out almost 40 bags of garbage.
During Moon Festival, Hong Kong residents gather to barbecue. However, the next day, sites are often messy with garbage and old food.
There is a lot of food left over, like toast, corn, sweet potatoes, or some napkins.
The volunteers felt sad to see so much food wasted, and the new recycling volunteer also shared the same feeling.
It is a pity to see so many people wasting food after these barbecues.
All garbage was left unsorted. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers have to spend time sorting recyclables. As well, after the 4-day Moon Festival holiday, the amount of the garbage was more than usual.
The amount of garbage was 5 to 6 times more than usual. Normally, we collect around 7 bags of garbage, but today we have 40 bags. Those who barbecued didn't sort their recyclables, even though I have set up recycling boxes here and put on a banner asking them to sort their garbage.
37 volunteers spent over 2 hours to clean up the environment in hopes of mobilizing more people to join in the practice of recycling.
As Tzu Chi's year-end blessing ceremonies are just 2 months away, Tzu Chi volunteers around the island have started making the blessing and wisdom red envelopes. In the Yilan Tzu Chi Liaison Office, over 60 local volunteers arrived to give a helping hand. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.